Got to talk about the Pacers and the Knicks. It gets started tomorrow night at Madison Square Garden. It is game one, and many people are talking about this being a rematch. I don't think it's a rematch. Too many injuries from a year ago. The Knicks made a couple of roster changes. It's not necessarily the same teams, but it is Knicks, Pacers, two teams with a little bit of playoff history, including last year when the Indiana Pacers beat up a wounded New York Knicks squad and took them out in 7 games. So the series gets started on the road for the Pacers in Madison Square Garden. The New York Knicks did make those roster changes in the offseason. They tried to become a better basketball team. They've already taken care of the Boston Celtics, although they got some help because Jason Tatum tore his Achilles and ended up not being able to finish that series. But when you look at these two teams and start matching them up, what to look for, and I think the really important part of this series is going to come down to how much Tom Thibodeau trusts his bench. Because Rick Carlisle is going to play his bench because he feels like when he plays his bench, number one, he still gets good production, but number two, it gives the starters rest, and so they're better in the fourth quarter. And he thinks he can wear teams down by pushing the pace. And if you're going to go with high minutes guys and have a short rotation and only play 7 or 8 guys, that the Pacers can wear you down the stretch. And they've shown against Cleveland that it can happen. And it does happen that way. And I think that's going to be part of the strategy for the Pacers in this New York Knicks series. But if you look at the matchups of the 5 starters versus the 5 starters, I think when you go through the first 4, it's almost a wash as far as talent. I don't think that's where the series is decided because I think you've got 6 of one, half dozen of the other. The Pacers versus the Knicks, and if you look at guys like Bridges, Towns, and Brunson, and you match them up against guys like Siakam, Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton, and Miles Turner, things are pretty even. And then you look at OG Anunoby versus Andrew Nembhard. Figure it out there. The other starter is going to be Josh Hart for the Knicks and Aaron Nesmith for the Pacers. So I don't know if through the starting 5 or the top 3 or the top 4, if you get a lot of separation between these two teams. I think you could probably argue which has the better roster if it was up to only those 5 guys. But when you get to the backups and start talking about bench play, I think the Pacers have a huge advantage. Guys like Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell. I mean, they've got guys that come off the bench. Ben Mathurin, he could be the X factor of this whole series. The Pacers are going to have to count on Benedict Mathurin big time against the Knicks because the Knicks have a lineup that's going to be very hard for the Pacers to match up with because Jalen Brunson plays bigger than he is. He's got a knack for being able to back down and get to the basket. He's a tough guard. And I look at that starting lineup for the Knicks. And usually the Pacers like to hide Tyrese Halliburton on maybe a shooting guard or somebody who's not going to be involved with a lot of ball screens or not going to be involved with a lot of ball handling and driving to the hoop, somebody who's going to be more of a set 3-point shooter. And they can't hide Halliburton on the defensive end because you've got Bridges, Anunoby, Towns, Brunson, and Hart. There is not one guy on there that's an obvious matchup for Tyrese Halliburton at the defensive end. If you think, okay, Hart, well, he's a guy that's going to crash the boards. And is Halliburton going to be able to handle him and keep him off the offensive glass? Is it Anunoby? Same situation. Is it Bridges? I mean, I don't know that there's a matchup for Tyrese Halliburton. And I certainly don't think it's against Jalen Brunson. But then against Brunson, what if you use Aaron Nesmith? Because I'm not sure that Andrew Nembhard can handle Jalen Brunson. He didn't handle him last year. I think they're probably going to try, but I'm not sure he handles him. And if he doesn't, then you've got to go to Aaron Nesmith. Now, who do you have guarding who? It's a little more difficult to match up against this roster with the new look that they have. And so I think the matchups will be fascinating. I think the rotation will be fascinating. But what that does is it brings into play Ben Mathurin. And I'm not saying he's going to play for Tyrese Halliburton, but Ben Mathurin's going to have to come in and probably play a pretty important role at both ends of the floor. And then you've got guys like Obi Toppin and Jarris Walker. He could be again with his size and athleticism. He might be a guy that has to come in and match up against an OG Anunoby or match up against a Josh Hart. I think matchups are going to be really fascinating in this one. We'll see where that goes. But the series started tomorrow night. Pacers obviously have had a long rest, and I'm really concerned that that's going to lead to some rust. I think if the first quarter is something like 19-17, I'm fine with that because I don't know if the Pacers come out and have their offensive efficiency like they had against Cleveland. If the Pacers come out in the first quarter, score 30, 35 points, I'm going to feel real good about this series because that might be the rustiest quarter that the Pacers are going to play in this series. And if they can come out and put up points against this Knicks defense, it could be a long week and a half or 2 weeks for the New York Knicks. But what do you expect of the series? I want to see your comments on this video. Please leave them below. Also, while you're here, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us a like and be sure you share the channel. That's very important. We need to grow the channel and do as much with it as we can. We're going to continue to give you the type of content you came to expect from us when we were on the radio. We're just doing it now here on YouTube. I don't know if it's better or for worse because now you have to actually look at me. But show some support and try to rally your friends and let them know where we're at and how we can be found. You can always share the channel through your social media. All right, we've got to wrap it up, but enjoy the series coming up tonight. We've got the Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes. It's game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals in the Stanley Cup Finals in the NHL. Also, tomorrow night, it is the Pacers Knicks. Tonight, we'll have baseball out at Parkview Field. Weather permitting, we're going to have the Tin Caps taking on the Cedar Rapids Colonels. Colonels have not been here since 2021, so it has been a while since the Tin Caps and the Colonels have hooked up in a series. This will take us all the way into Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. And tonight, Parkview Field, it is it's the family feast night where a lot of the concession items, just a couple of bucks. So come out to the ballpark and join us. Hope to either see you at the park or see you here at YouTube and on social media following the Sports Rush with Brett Rump. Have a terrific Tuesday.